Lexiai reads Brexit Political Declaration. Produced by Lex Veritas.
Political declaration setting out the framework for the future relationship between the European Union and the United Kingdom.
3. Foreign Policy, Security and Defense.
92. The parties support ambitious, close and lasting cooperation on external action to protect citizens from external threats, including new emerging threats, prevent conflicts, strengthen international peace and security, including through the United Nations and NATO, and address the root causes of global challenges such as terrorism or illegal migration. They will champion a rules-based international order and project their common values worldwide. 93. Parties will promote sustainable development and the eradication of poverty. In this regard, they will continue to support the implementation of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and the European Consensus on Development. 94. The parties will shape and pursue their foreign policies according to their respective strategic and security interests and the respective legal orders. When and where these interests are shared, the parties should cooperate closely at the bilateral level and within international organizations. The parties should design flexible and scalable cooperation that would ensure that the United Kingdom can combine efforts with the Union to the greatest effect, including in times of crisis or when serious incidents occur. 95. To this end, the future relationship should provide for appropriate dialogue, consultation, coordination, exchange of information and cooperation mechanisms. It should also allow for secondment of experts where appropriate, and in the parties' mutual interest.
A. Consultation and cooperation.
In 96. The parties should establish structured consultation and regular thematic dialogues identifying areas and activities where close cooperation could contribute to the attainment of common objectives. 97. In this regard, the political dialogue on Common Foreign and Security Policy, CFSP, and Common Security and Defense Policy, CSDP, as well as sectoral dialogues would enable flexible consultation between the parties at different levels, ministerial, senior official, working. The High Representative may, where appropriate, invite the United Kingdom to informal ministerial meetings of the member states of the Union. 98. The parties should seek to cooperate closely in third countries, including on security, consular provision and protection, and development projects, as well as in international organizations and fora, notably in the United Nations. This should allow the parties, where relevant, to support each other's positions, deliver external action, and manage global challenges in a coherent manner, including through agreed statements, demarches and shared positions.
B. Sanctions.
99. While pursuing independent sanctions policies driven by their respective foreign policies, the parties recognize sanctions as a multilateral foreign policy tool and the benefits of close consultation and cooperation. 100. Consultation on sanctions should include the exchange of information on listings and their justification, development, implementation, and enforcement, as well as technical support and dialogue on future designations and regimes. Where foreign policy objectives that underpin a specific future sanction regime are aligned between the parties, intensified exchange of information at appropriate stages of the policy cycle of this sanctions regime will take place, with the possibility of adopting sanctions that are mutually reinforcing.
C. Operations and missions.
101. The parties welcome close cooperation in Union-led crisis management missions and operations, both civilian and military. The future relationship should therefore enable the United Kingdom to participate on a case-by-case basis in CSDP missions and operations through a framework participation agreement. 102. Where Following early consultation and exchange of information through the political dialogue, the United Kingdom indicates its intention to contribute to a planned CSDP mission or operation open to third countries. The parties should intensify interaction and exchange of information at relevant stages of the planning process, and proportionately to the level of United Kingdom's contribution. This would allow the United Kingdom to best tailor its contribution and provide timely expertise. 103. As a contributor to a specific CSDP mission or operation, the United Kingdom would participate in the Force Generation Conference, Call for Contributions, and the Committee of Contributors meeting to enable sharing of information about the implementation of the mission or operation. It should also have the possibility, in case of CSDP military operations, to second staff to the designated operations headquarters proportionate to the level of its contribution.
D. Defense capabilities development.
104. The future relationship should benefit from research and industrial cooperation between the parties' entities and specific European collaborative projects to facilitate interoperability and to promote joint effectiveness of armed forces. In this regard, while both parties should preserve their respective strategic autonomy and freedom of action underpinned by their respective robust domestic defense industrial bases, the parties agreed to enable to the extent possible under the conditions of Union law A. The United Kingdom's collaboration in relevant existing and future projects of the European Defence Agency, EDA, through an administrative arrangement. B. The participation of eligible United Kingdom entities in collaborative defence projects bringing together Union entities supported by the European Defence Fund, EDF. And C. The United Kingdom's collaboration in projects in the framework of Permanent Structured Cooperation, PESCO, where invited to participate on an exceptional basis by the Council of the European Union in PESCO format.
E. Intelligence exchanges.
105. The parties should exchange intelligence on a timely and voluntary basis as appropriate, in particular in the field of counter-terrorism, hybrid threats and cyber threats, and in support of those CSDP missions and operations to which the United Kingdom will be contributing. While the parties will produce intelligence products autonomously, such intelligence exchange should contribute to a shared understanding of Europe's security environment. 106. The future relationship should allow for timely exchanges of intelligence and sensitive information between the relevant Union bodies and the United Kingdom authorities. The European Union Satellite Centre, EUSC, and the United Kingdom should cooperate in the field of space-based imagery.
F. Space.
107. The parties should consider appropriate arrangements for cooperation on space.
G. Development cooperation.
108. The parties should establish a dialogue to enable strategies in the programming and delivery of development that are mutually reinforcing. 109. On the basis of their mutual interest, the parties should consider how the United Kingdom could contribute to the Union's instruments and mechanisms, including coordination with the Union's delegations in third countries.
10. Thematic cooperation. A. Cybersecurity.
110. The parties reaffirm their commitment to promote security and stability in cyberspace through increased international cooperation. The parties agreed to exchange information on a voluntary, timely and reciprocal basis, including on cyber incidents, techniques and origin of the attackers, threat analysis, and best practices to help protect the United Kingdom and the Union from common threats. 111. In particular, the United Kingdom should cooperate closely with the Computer Emergency Response Team, European Union, CERT-EU, and, subject to the conclusion of an agreement as provided for in Union law, participate in certain activities of the cooperation group established under the Union's Directive on Security of Network and Information Systems and of the European Union Agency for Network and Information Security, ENISA. 112. The The parties should cooperate to promote effective global practices on cybersecurity in relevant international bodies. 113. The United Kingdom and the Union will establish a cyber dialogue to promote cooperation and identify opportunities for future cooperation as new threats, opportunities, and partnerships emerge.
B. Civil protection.
114. The parties should cooperate in the field of civil protection in respect of natural or man-made disasters. This cooperation would be enabled by the United Kingdom's participation in the Union's civil protection mechanism as a participating state.
C. Health security.
115. The parties should cooperate in matters of health security in line with existing Union arrangements with third countries. The parties will aim to cooperate in international fora on prevention, detection, preparation for and response to established and emerging threats to health security in a consistent manner.
D. Illegal migration.
116. The parties will cooperate to tackle illegal migration, including its drivers and its consequences, whilst recognizing the need to protect the most vulnerable. This cooperation will cover A. Operational cooperation with Europol to combat organized immigration crime, B. Working with the European Border and Coast Guard Agency to strengthen the Union's external border, and C. Dialogue on shared objectives and cooperation, including in third countries and international fora, to tackle illegal migration upstream.
E. Counterterrorism and countering violent extremists.
117. The parties should cooperate on counterterrorism, countering violent extremism and emerging threats to advance their common security and shared interests. Recognizing the mutual advantage of collective dialogue and operational cooperation, the partnership should support A. Sharing best practice and expertise on key issues and themes, B. Cooperating with the appropriate intelligence analysis bodies to ensure effective assessment sharing between the parties, including on counterterrorism, and C. A close dialogue on emerging threats and new capabilities.
5. Classified and sensitive non-classified information.
118. The parties agree to conclude a security of information agreement, along with implementing arrangements that would provide for reciprocal guarantees for the handling and protection of the parties' classified information. 119. Where necessary, the parties should set out the terms for the protection of sensitive non-classified information provided and exchanged between them.
Part 4. Institutional and other horizontal arrangements. 1. Structure.
120. The future relationship should be based on an overarching institutional framework covering chapters and linked agreements relating to specific areas of cooperation, while recognizing that the precise legal form of this future relationship will be determined as part of the formal negotiations. Where appropriate, the parties may establish specific governance arrangements in individual areas. 121. The parties may also decide that an agreement should sit outside of the overarching institutional framework, and in those cases, should provide for appropriate governance arrangements. 122. The parties note that the overarching institutional framework could take the form of an association agreement. 123. The parties should provide for the possibility to review the future relationship.
2. Governance.
124. In order to ensure the proper functioning of the future relationship, the parties commit to engage in regular dialogue and to establish robust, efficient and effective arrangements for its management, supervision, implementation, review and development over time, and for the resolution of disputes and enforcement based on the arrangements provided for in the withdrawal agreement, in full respect of their own legal orders.
A. Strategic direction and dialogue.
125. The future relationship should include dialogue between the parties at summit, ministerial and technical level, as well as at parliamentary level. The parties should encourage civil society dialogue. 126. In this context, the summit and ministerial level should oversee the future relationship, provide strategic direction, and discuss opportunities for cooperation in areas of mutual interest, including on regional and global issues. This would foster a strong relationship between the parties, support the operation of the agreements, and enable the partnership to evolve in response to changing and unforeseen circumstances. 127. There should also be specific thematic dialogues at ministerial and senior official level, established as part of the economic and security partnerships, which should take place as often as is necessary for the effective operation of the future relationship. 128. The parties support the establishment of a dialogue between the European Parliament and the Parliament of the United Kingdom, where they see fit, in order for the legislatures to share views and expertise on issues related to the future relationship.
B. Management and administration and supervision.
129. The parties should establish a joint committee responsible for managing and supervising the implementation and operation of the future relationship, facilitating the resolution of disputes as set out below, and making recommendations concerning its evolution. 130. The joint committee should comprise the parties' representatives at an appropriate level, establish its own rules of procedures, reach decisions by mutual consent, and meet as often as required to fulfill its tasks. As necessary, it could establish specialized subcommittees to assist it in the performance of its tasks.
C. Interpretation.
131. In full respect of the autonomy of the parties' legal orders, the Union and the United Kingdom will seek to ensure the consistent interpretation and application of the future relationship.
D. Dispute settlement.
132. The parties will base the arrangements for dispute settlement and enforcement on those provided for in the withdrawal agreement. To that end, the parties should first make every attempt to resolve any matter concerning the operation of the future relationship through discussion and consultation. If either party deemed it necessary, it should be able to refer the matter to the Joint Committee for formal resolution. 133. Unless otherwise provided, the Joint Committee may agree to refer the dispute to an independent arbitration panel at any time, and either party should be able to do so, where the Joint Committee has not arrived at a mutually satisfactory resolution within a defined period of time. The decisions of the independent arbitration panel will be binding on the parties. 134. Should a dispute raise a question of interpretation of union law, which may also be indicated by either party, the arbitration panel should refer the question to the CJEU as the sole arbiter of union law, for a binding ruling. The arbitration panel should decide the dispute in accordance with the ruling given by the CJEU. Where a party considers that the arbitration panel should have referred a question of interpretation of union law to the CJEU, it may ask the panel to review and provide reasons for its assessment. 4. The future relationship will be based on a balance of rights and obligations, taking into account the principles of each party. This balance must ensure the autonomy of the Union's decision-making and be consistent with the Union's principles, in particular with respect to the integrity of the single market and the customs union and the indivisibility of the four freedoms. It must also ensure the sovereignty of the United Kingdom and the protection of its internal market, while respecting the result of the 2016 referendum, including with regard to the development of its independent trade policy and the ending of free movement of people between the Union and the United Kingdom. 5. The period of
3. Exceptions and safeguards.
136. The future relationship should provide for appropriate exceptions regarding security, National security is the sole responsibility of the member states of the Union and the United Kingdom respectively. 137. The future relationship should address the possibility for a party to activate temporary safeguard measures that would otherwise be in breach of its commitments in case of circumstances of significant economic, societal or environmental difficulties. This should be subject to strict conditions and include the right for the other party to rebalancing measures. The proportionality of measures taken will be subject to independent arbitration.
Part 5, Forward Process.
138. In setting out the framework of the future relationship between the Union and the United Kingdom, this declaration confirms, as set out in the withdrawal agreement, that it is the clear intent of both parties to develop in good faith agreements giving effect to this relationship, and to begin a formal process of negotiations as soon as possible after the United Kingdom's withdrawal from the Union, such that they can come into force by the end of 2020. 139. Both parties affirmed that the achievements, benefits and commitments of the peace process in Northern Ireland will remain of paramount importance to peace, stability and reconciliation. They agreed that the Good Friday or Belfast Agreement reached on 10 April 1998 by the United Kingdom government, the Irish government and the other participants in the multi-party negotiations, the 1998 agreement, must be protected in all its parts, and that this extends to the practical application of the 1998 agreement on the island of Ireland, and to the totality of the relationships set out in the 1998 agreement. 140. The parties will progress the development of the legal agreements giving effect to the future relationship in 2 stages.
1. Before withdrawal.
141. Between the approval of this declaration and the United Kingdom's withdrawal from the Union, the parties will each engage in preparatory organizational work, with the aim of enabling rapid commencement of in-progress informal negotiations. 142. This work should draw up a proposed schedule to deliver the work program required, having identified the areas likely to require the greatest consideration, such as those elements related to the alternative arrangements for ensuring the absence of a hard border on the island of Ireland on a permanent footing. 143. The parties will also consider the logistical requirements of the formal negotiations.
2. After withdrawal.
144. After the Union has taken the steps necessary to begin formal negotiations under Article 218 of the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union, TFEU, it is envisaged that the parties will negotiate in parallel the agreements needed to give the future relationship legal form. 145. Immediately following the United Kingdom's withdrawal, and based on their preparatory work, the parties will agree a program including a. the structure and format of the negotiation rounds, including with respect to parallel tracks, and b. a formal schedule of negotiating rounds. 146. This program will be designed to deliver the parties' shared intention as set out in paragraph 138.
3. Review points.
147. The parties will convene a high-level conference at least every 6 months from the date of the United Kingdom's withdrawal from the Union to take stock of progress and agree, as far as is possible between them, actions to move forward.
Lexiai reads Brexit Political Declaration. Produced by Lex Veritas.